We're going to do some rapid fire, Fluke or for real, Wes. We got some names to talk about. We're going to give a quick opinion. Jump to the next one. Starting out with Jahmyr Gibbs, 29.9 fantasy points. Fluke or for real?
For real, absolutely. 26 carries?
Yeah.
Let's go, baby. Come on.
I hope, we said it after last week, I hope there has been enough to see an uptick in his work whenever David Montgomery is back as well.
They had 40 carries, by the way, because Josh Reynolds rushed 14 times. And I'm sure other...
Craig, but yeah.
They may have more, Craig, yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Crazy how many times they ran the ball. Yeah, but that's for real.
Let's keep it going.
Maybe,
Hopefully there's a lot more there. Some high regards from Dan Campbell about Jahmyr Gibbs before this game. So, fun times. Gus Edwards, 29.4 fantasy points. Fluke or for real?
Did it again. That's for real. And 19 carries is beautiful in a Lamar Jackson offense. I mean, aside from the 3 tutties, I mean, that's Tutty the Troll. That's for real.
Yeah, well, he is definitely the lead back. I don't think Justice Hill is going to be very involved from here on out. Trey McBride, 25.5 fantasy points. What do you think, Wes?
I don't know now that Josh Dobbs is not the QB. I need to see it again, especially if it does happen to be Kyler Murray. Because then if you were to say this is Marquise Brown, I'd be like, oh, fire up Marquise Brown. Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
But I got to call it Fluke just because of the quarterback change.
Yeah, I believe the same. Jalen Waddle, 25.1 fantasy points. Man, good to see him back there. 7 catches, 12 targets, 121 and a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, with the targets increase has been really great the last few weeks. So, I mean, obviously Waddle can do this, so I'll say for real. But I also know that there are going to be some weeks where we got to put him back in our Fluke for real segment on the bad side. But that's for real.
Yep, 100%. Jahan Dotson, 24.8 fantasy points. Fluke for real, Wes?
I got to keep saying Fluke on the Commanders because I never know who it's going to be each week, man. Yeah. He's great, but gosh, that stinks.
Yeah, I think he had like 10 targets collectively over like the 4 prior weeks before this game. So I don't know what's going on here.
So inconsistent.
Rashid Shaheed, 24.3 points. What do you think?
Can't do it, man. 3 catches, 153 yards. I mean, were you going to get 50 yards a catch? I can't. That doesn't feel sustainable. I can't buy into that. That's all I got to say. I can't buy into it.
It's a fluke. Yeah, I will say there's something weird about Derek Carr in which he's like, I don't know if you've seen like when like they've got like the mic on him and stuff, but he's like, whenever he goes to the sideline and he's like, we need to dial up like a deep shot, he always tells the OC that it needs to be Rashid Shaheed. Like he's always talking like when he's mic, you can hear him and he goes, yeah, get it to Shaheed. So who knows? Maybe something's there, but three targets, not a thing there. Devonta Smith, 22.9 fantasy points. What do you think, Wes?
I'm pissed. I forgot to mention in my rant, because it didn't matter, because I lost by so much from that one guy that had everybody in our hyped up segment, that I benched Devonta Smith. So I was like, forget it. I can't deal with another single digit. I'm going to roll out Waller and Hawkinson, which sounded like a great idea going in. It was like Tyrod Taylor and the Waller connection's been solid. Hawkinson got me a ton of points. So it was like, well, that was fine. But is it crazy for me to say Devonta Smith is a fluke? Is it crazy for me to say that this was a really good game and you can still line him up, but you have other options? Because this is A.J. Brown's show. A.J. Brown is an MVP candidate. And I don't think Devonta Smith will have games quite like this, because that is a shootout when they play the Commanders. So I'm putting my stake in the ground out of spite and maybe out of bias, but I'm going to say fluke.
Yeah, I agree. This is a fluke. I fully agree. Tyler Lockett, 22.1 fantasy points. Hey, dud for the week. Cleveland Browns, best defense against the wide receiver position. Tyler Lockett, 1 game with more than 60 receiving yards this season. 2 double-digit weeks. You put that guy on your bench. You know who's a lot better of a start? Jacoby Myers. I'm so mad. I'm so mad. It's 22.1 points. I got to try and sell him this week, I think, so I don't have to deal with this anymore. I'm so annoyed. I go on this rant on our Friday episode, Wes. I say this is the one time. This is the first time this season I have to take him out of my lineup to put in one of my depth receivers who I think is a better option, Jacoby Myers. Well, I would have won with Tyler Lockett in my lineup. So that is just painful, and I want to ship him out just because of that, just for doing that to me. So Fluke, there you go. That's what I'm going to say. Fluke, 22.1. Fluke for Tyler Lockett.
I'll buy into saying that this is a fluke, just because it has not been a monster boom game that we know him to be as a boom bust player, and JSN is getting involved more and more. So I'm willing to say sell high.
Yeah, I agree. Jamison Crowder, 22.5 points.
What year is it?
What are we doing here? What's going on? Yeah, he had a crazy touchdown catch in garbage time, but my goodness, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Taysom Hill, 22.5 fantasy points on one target. Wes?
Yeah.
I'm buying in.
I'm right there with you, pal. I'm right behind you in the checkout line to buy in on Taysom Hill.
What is going on? I don't buy in on Taysom Hill because he's a good tight end in fantasy. I buy in on Taysom Hill because he just scores fantasy points. He has one target.
Somehow.
He goes from like 11 targets the last 2 weeks to one target. I will say, Jawan Johnson was back, so that may have been something having to do with why he wasn't getting the targets. But he throws a 44-yard completion to Rashid Shaheed, and then he gets 9 carries for 63 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like, what?
He's the postal service.
I hate this guy, and it's incredible.
Ground, it's receiving, it's passing. He will find a way in the end zone no matter what it takes. What a great tight end option. Yeah.
My goodness. Yeah, if he's on your waiver wire, he's worth considering, especially maybe if Darren Waller, who knows? Like, if you needed some security there, my goodness, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon, hey, we just brought him up. Just brought him up on Friday's show. 20 fantasy points. Fluke or for real?
Fluke.
Next. There you go. Javonte Williams. 27 carries. And he finds the end zone for the first time this season. 18.8 fantasy points. Fluke or for real?
Here's my reason I'm going to say this is a fluke.
Yeah.
Because they went against the Chiefs, and one of the best ways to beat the Chiefs is to keep Mahomes off the field. And you can do that when you rush 27 times with just one guy.
You get
Not to mention
opportunities.
Exactly. Other running backs had carries too. So we're talking about the Lions that had 40-plus rushing attempts last night. I think this is a fluke because this is it's not great rushing yards per attempt either. 85 yards is not too bad, but if that was on 16 carries, they'd be like, okay. But no, 27 carries.
27, yeah.
I gotta say fluke. Man.
It was my same reasoning for Jaleel McLaughlin, Fluke, for the last couple of weeks. When the Broncos are winning, they're going to ground and pound. And they're not doing that with Jaleel McLaughlin. They're doing that with Javonte Williams. Now, I will say, the Broncos have won like 3 games in a row now. Are the Broncos like kind of good? Like I know there were rumors of like, hey, maybe Cortland Sutton's going somewhere, maybe Jerry Jeudy's going somewhere. I heard Sean Payton say they're not shopping anybody. Like they might be in a spot where they're like, we could go 12-5. We could go 12-5. Let's see what happens here. Maybe. Who knows?
By the time this episode out,
who knows? Can you believe, Wes? Can you believe the Denver Broncos are second in the AFC West? What? What are we doing here? What are we talking about? It's ridiculous.
This sounds
we'll see what
last
happens there.
Year. Last year, Saints are like, oh yeah, it's gonna be Chiefs and Broncos battling in and out, and Chargers are gonna also get 10+ victories. Crazy,
yeah, pretty crazy. KJ Osborne, 17.9 fantasy points. Fluke for real?
I was gonna say for real until Kirk tore his Achilles. Man, I was gonna say, look at this. He's been targeted a lot. We had complaints start of the year because Addison wasn't getting his targets and his snap counts. But I got to hold out because I don't know who the quarterback's going to be.
Yep, that's a fluke. Cole Kmet, 17.9 fantasy points, 10 targets from Bajent. What do you think?
With Bajent next week, I think you can say for real. This is what we said about DJ Moore, is that DJ Moore would be pretty bad without Justin Fields, and that seems to be the case. So Yeah, I'm going to say for real for Cole Kmet next week at least.
Yeah, I think so too. David Njoku looked really good on Sunday, actually. 17.7 fantasy points. Only 4 catches for 77 and a touchdown, though. 8 targets. What do we think?
He had a really good catch and run as well, which is also really nice to see out of a tight end. And, I'll buy into it because I know that even if I said if, because we don't know when Watson's going to come back. But even when Watson does come back, I still feel good about David Njoku and in the way that he was. Just read about Brown's training camp with Watson and just kind of the way that the chemistry was there and the red zone opportunities. Like, I think Njoku is going to be a pretty good option if you ever need a tight end fill-in. So I'll say for real.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes there. Hey, another Washington Commander, one more. 16.4 fantasy points for Logan Thomas. Wes, what do you think?
I mean, let me just remind everyone that Sam Howell threw it 52 times. 52 times. So that's a fluke.
Yeah, I remember after our Monday night, the Thursday night game against Chicago, we were like, let's see what it looks like when Sam Howell doesn't throw it 50 times. If it seems like it's going to be a game where Sam Howell throws it 50 times, fire up the Commander's skill players.
Yeah, whichever one you have.
Put him on your bench. Whatever's going on here. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Jake Ferguson, 4 catches, 4 targets, 47 yards and a touchdown. What do you think, Wes?
I almost want to say for real just because of how great that touchdown catch was. Like, that was a phenomenal way to start out the game. So, and Ferguson is someone that we've mentioned before. So it's taking some time, but I'll bite. I'll bite.
Yeah, he had a couple down weeks, but he to start out the season, he had like 7 targets in like 5 of his first 6 games. So we'll see what happens here. It's gonna be interesting. But Dak Prescott loves the tight end, so we'll see what happens. Yep. Hey, my last week reach for the stars, hopeful savior, Darrington Evans.
Oh yeah, baby.
13 fantasy points. Wes, Fluke for real.
Move on.
Yeah, Fluke. There you go. There we go. Let's jump into some of these bad guys here because these guys are bad guys. These guys.
Bad guys.
These
Just
guys
because
are
you are a bad guy doesn't mean you are a bad guy.
They're such bad guys. Ramondre Stevenson, 7 fantasy points. Fluke for real, Wes.
I wish I knew how to quit you. I'm not going to say for real on this. I still believe in Ramondre, man.
Yeah, I still like the passing work. Yeah. Still like the passing work. Still like the leading. I heard someone say he's the lead back of a committee on a bad offense. That's fair. That's how that goes. So I don't know. I think it's good things to come, and when they're looking for plays to happen, he'll be involved. So there you go. CJ Stroud, 12.9 fantasy points, and his wide receiver 1, just 7 fantasy points. Man, tough day for CJ Stroud. Hard to think this is what's going to happen, though. What do you think, Wes? Fluke for real?
I'm a little worried about CJ Stroud as far as fantasy goes, and especially Carolina's not a team to fear. I mean, I know they've got some talent on defense, and Panthers fans will beat the pulpit on Brian Burns and Joe Horn, and a lot of players that are really great, and they're young too. But the Panthers are not a team that shut down your passing game altogether. So I just might say for real, because he's still a rookie. But hey, it's so funny how the season just kind of flips on its head. Remember that time we thought Nico Collins may be a better option than Jamar Chase, and now it's like, oh, that's right. You're not a secret sleeper pick. You're not Puka Nacua, who's been really great. You're still on the Texans. No disrespect to the Texans. So I'm going to say for real on both.
Yeah, definitely. Raheem Mostert, 10.6 fantasy points. Fluke for real.
Fluke. It's the Dolphins.
Yeah, Flukey.
Their offense is wicked.
They'll be fine. Miles Sanders, 0 fantasy points. Just 2 carries. Fluke for real, Wes.
That's for real. He had 18% snap count, man.
Yeah, I'm holding out hope for 1 week on rostering him because I'm going to keep him on the bench just to see if it evens back out to more of a 50-50 split with Chuba Hubbard, but I don't think so. They changed offensive play callers. It's
It's rough.
Very disappointing season for Miles Sanders. Bijan Robinson, 12.2 fantasy points. Wes?
Yeah? You can go on. Go ahead.
What are we doing here?
I don't know.
They're at the 5-yard line. They're at the 5-yard line. And
Right.
Arthur Smith goes, you know what play is good here? Let's have Jonnu Smith line up at running back and take a toss. Yeah. And then attempt to throw a touchdown to our third-string tight end.
Right.
While Kyle Pitts blocks for them.
Who's running this show? Who has any? I mean, what the hell?
What the hell is going on here?
What the hell is going on? What is this? I mean, I almost want to say this is for real because it's like this is so wild. I mean,
incompetence.
Bijan's been such a yes. He's been a PPR value as well. And 5 targets is quite nice, but didn't catch a single one. And I don't understand.
It feels like Arthur Smith is the only head coach in the league that actually purposefully wants to screw fantasy football players. Like truly. Like it feels like he is genuinely like he gets into the red zone and he's like, "Oh, you know what feels good right now? Making all those fantasy football players just pissed off."
Yeah.
So
he's very
Jonnu
against
Smith here.
us.
Go ahead and attempt a pass. Oh, okay, coach. To who? Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson? No, let's throw it to Michael Pruitt. What the hell are we doing here?
Who?
What?
I mean,
What?
I mean, next week we're gonna probably talk about Mac Hollins, 27 points because he's gonna have passing yards himself.
No, he's gonna
rushing
have
yards.
20 carries for 160 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's what's gonna happen.
My gosh.
Because Arthur Smith thinks, you know what? That fake football game is stupid. Suck an egg, dude.
Do you think he goes up? He's in a fantasy league of himself, and people just
He must be.
like all his friends are like, oh, I'm going to take all the Falcons players just because we love Arthur and he's like, to hell with you, and he's like coaching specifically against his rivals, and he's like, no. Bijan's got a headache. He's got a migraine. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? He got 0.3 points. What are you doing, Arthur? He's like, no, and we won. Yeah, so you can tell me I'm a bad coach. I know what I'm doing. I think you're spot on. Arthur Smith, find us. Come on the show. Let's talk this out because clearly there's something deeply rooted in you that's making you against Bijan owners.
He was my he was at the beginning of the season. He was my fire candidate. He deserves it now. There you go.
He keeps winning. That's the problem. Anyway,
That's ridiculous.
and he's a cool guy. Keep going.
He lost to Will Levis. Fire him. I don't care. Dude likes mayonnaise in his coffee. Get him out of here.
True.
I'm so pissed off.
That's all right. Let's go on to the next
Cooper
person that
Kupp,
gets us mad.
6.1 fantasy points. Disappointing day for him and Puka Nacua. Puka with just 7 fantasy points around there. Fluke for real for these guys.
Oh, I can't quite say for real. I can't yet. 10 targets for Kupp is pretty nice. I know we don't know who's going to be under center for the next week or maybe 2, but Cooper Kupp is still obviously the best player on that offense who's going to get fed. It's Dallas. This is part of the problem.
Fluke.
Yeah, that's Fluke.
Yeah, it's Fluke. Chris Olave, 9.6 fantasy points. What do we think, Wes?
I went into the season having some speculations on Chris Olave's second-round price. And so I personally am going to say that's for real because he has not measured up to the expectations we know and with the Derek Carr acquisition. So I'm going to say this is for real. How do you feel?
I think it's a fluke.
Okay.
I think it's a fluke, and I think Chris Olave is a buy low candidate right now. I think the targets are still there. So I just think there's somewhere been a disconnect between him and Carr. Last 2 weeks there's been some feuding between the two, I think, and I think Dennis Allen just needs to look at him and go, hey, get it together. All right? Figure it out. So
it's kind of hot.
I'm gonna. Thanks, dude. I think Fluke for now, but we'll see what happens. Jerome Ford 4.9 points. What do we think?
It's kind of reminded that he's not Nick Chubb. Just kind of reminded of that. So it was nice. I mean, I know he is good, but yeah, he's going to be matchup circumstantial. He's going to be a bye week fill-in. He's going to be an injury fill-in as well. So I'll say that's for real.
Yeah, it was really uncertain status going into the game on whether or not he was going to play. Ends up playing. I think part of it may have been just like a slow week of practice. I mean, remind you, last week he had the low, medium, well done, rare, mid-rare grade ankle sprain, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Low grade, high ankle sprain.
Yeah. Medium over easy.
Yeah, and it's soft scramble ankle sprain. Whatever. Okay.
Slow smoked.
Yeah. Low and slow ankle sprain. I don't know. I don't. The Browns like to run the ball. I think he'll be involved. I think you're right. I think he's like a flex play at best and a bye week filler. So we'll see. I don't know. Well, I don't know what's going to happen. Hey, the Packers suck. Christian Watson, 6.3 fantasy points.
Yeah, I was reminded of that as well because week 1 looked amazing. And then we were like, oh, the Bears just aren't good. And now the Bears, when Justin Fields is back, may have figured it out. But it's very evident that the Jets won that trade already, even though Aaron Rodgers is hurt. Like neither of them have Rodgers, and the Jets are in a better position. So that's for real. Christian Watson, I throw in Romeo Doubs too.
Yeah, I agree. Deontay Foreman 4.6. I think it's Fluke. Sorry, I think this is for real. I think it's now that Roshan's back, the running back room is just confusing. So we'll see what happens there. Raiders wide receivers: Jacoby Myers 2.9, Devontae Adams 2.1. I think this has to be a fluke, but I'm disappointed to close it out. I don't know.
Do you mind if I speak to Devontae Adams just for a moment? Is that all right?
Please do. Should I take my headphones out so I don't bleed?
No. I'm not gonna. I'm probably not gonna shout. But
okay, good.
Adams, Tay, first name basis, nickname. Yeah. Get it together, because my girlfriend's kind of pissed off with you. Okay, This is her first season, and she's pretty mad. All right, now she snuck in a win, and she's gonna go on to 4 victories, which is fantastic. But you're not helping. You're not helping. And on behalf of everyone that has you, including my girlfriend, most importantly, get it together. This better be a fluke. I'm done.
Thanks. There you go. Yeah, it's a fluke. That's a fluke. And we're very grateful that that's a fluke because Jimmy Garoppolo, target your wide receivers and pass it accurately. There you go.
Yes.
Let's get to do it for fluke or for real. I was a little distracted there for a moment. I had just gotten a text from my wife who just said, "You okay? Sounds like you're yelling."
Yes,
we
sweetheart.
Yes, sweetheart. I am okay. We are yelling. We're angry about fantasy football. That's how we do it here on Fourth and Joel Fantasy.